Have you admitted everyone, Nicole?
Yes, we have.
Okay. Let's get started. Good morning. I am truly honored and thrilled to welcome you to the 2021 State of the Cities Luncheon. I'm Kim Mosley, President and CEO of the Los. I know that many of you had the opportunity to pick up a delicious lunch from our local favorite, Rustic House Oyster Bar and Grill. Thank you for your continued support of our merchants. Our agenda this morning will be as follows. We'll begin with introductions and recognitions. We'll hear from our honored guests. The mayors of Los Altos and Los Altos Hills will present their State of the Cities addresses. And we will close with how you can support the chamber. We ask that you keep your cameras off and muted unless you are presenting. Thank you.
I am Tracy Murray, the board chair of the Los Altos Chamber of Commerce. Welcome and thank you for coming to celebrate the State of the Cities Luncheon with us and enjoy presentations from the mayors of Los Altos and Los Altos Hills. I'd like to begin by an introduction of our elected officials. The esteemed U.S. Congresswoman Eshoo from the 18th District, State Senator Josh Berman from the 13th California Senate District, Assemblyman Marc Berman from the 24th District, Santa Clara County Supervisor Joe Simitian, Los Altos Hills Mayor Kavita Tankha, Los Altos Hills Vice Mayor George Tyson, Los Altos Hills Council members Stanley Mock, Lisa Schmidt, and Linda Swan, Los Altos Mayor Neysa Fligor, Los Altos Council Vice Mayor Anita Anender, Los Altos Council members Lynette Lee Eng, Sally Meadows, and Jonathan Weinberg, Los Altos School District Board President Shali Sirke, Los Altos School District Board Vice President Steve Taglo, Los Altos School District Trustee Vladimir Ivanovich, Los Altos School District Trustee Brian Johnson, Los Altos School District Trustee Jessica Spicer, El Camino Healthcare District Board Vice Chair Julia Miller, Los Altos School District Superintendent Jeff Baer, the Superintendent of Mountain View Los Altos High School, Nellie Meyer, Chancellor of Foothill De Anza Community College District, Judy Miner, City of Los Altos Interim City Manager, Brad Hilger, Los Altos Chief of Police, Andy Galea, the members of our Los Altos Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, Diana Batista, Layla Benson, Kathy Kamen, Cameron Knight Desmond, Tim Giacomini, Anna Homayun, Kachik Gendarian, Kathy Lira, Joe Maletti, Cindy Murphy, Michael Singleton, Terry Watkins, Dennis Young, and Rashad Wiley. The Walter and Marie Singer Business Volunteer Award is given to recognize the Los Altos Business Leader of the Year, whose community service, generosity, and commitment to business exemplified the spirit of community that became Walter and Marie's personal hallmark. While the group of past recipients decided not to select an honoree this year, we would like to recognize the past Walter and Marie Singer Award recipients in attendance today. We have Dennis Young, Joe Renati, Sam Harding, Steve Shepard, Ron Labitich, Cameron Knight Desmond, Maureen and Roy Jones, Karen and Tom Smith, Liz and Paul Nyberg, Abigail Ahrens, and Julie Rose. A special thanks to our event sponsors and our premier chamber members. Star One Credit Union, Young, Craig and Company, Certified Public Accountants. El Camino Health. Ico Hill of Organizational Performance Systems, OPS. Waymo, and Toyota Research Institute. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. I would now like to introduce our first speaker, United States Congresswoman Anna Eshoo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kim, and good morning to everyone. I want to thank the cities of Los Altos and Los Altos Hills, to the mayors, Mayor Fligor and Mayor Tankha, for inviting me to participate today, and to the Chamber, to the Los Altos Chamber of Commerce, and to you, Kim. Thank you for your special leadership, especially during these challenging times. I also want to do a shout out to all of my brothers and sisters that are partners in representing our mutual constituents. I think that we have a great team, a very great team here on the peninsula, and that's to benefit all of our constituents. So thank you to each one of you. It's now been just over a year since the public health officers in the Bay Area counties issued the first stay-at-home orders in the nation. We were the first in the nation to do that. To say that it's been a difficult year really doesn't begin to describe it. The challenges have been enormous. Everyone has been affected, lives, livelihoods, and we've lost, I think, at least 540,000 of our fellow Americans. So the country has been through a special form of hell, and as I said, lives and livelihoods have been upended. Congress responded quickly. Last year, we passed 5 bipartisan bills to address the pandemic. The first was really a Marshall Plan for our health systems, with funding to hospitals and other health providers to buy protective equipment, testing supplies, to cover unreimbursed costs, lost revenue, beef up the national stockpile, cash transfers to individuals, paycheck protection through the SBA for small businesses who have really been hammered. No one knows it better than each one of you right on the ground in our local communities. And there was some help to the states. None of the laws were perfect. No law is ever perfect, for that matter. So the CARES Act, which was the largest of them, I think was successful in softening the blow to our economy. Now, with a new administration, with President Biden in the White House, we were chatting before we began. This administration has something that the previous administration did not have, and that is they have a plan and they're executing it. We were able to pass the American Rescue Act. We completed the legislative work on March 10th, and on March 11th, President Biden signed that into law. It is comprehensive. It's big. And why is it big? Why is it so comprehensive? And why does it bear such a large price tag? Because it is directed to meeting the needs of the people of our country. It's $1.9 trillion. And I just want to very quickly go through some of the highlights of it. I know that there are many speakers, and I don't want to go past the time that you've allotted for me. Essentially, the bill provides the resources to get a shot into every American's arm. You know that there are 3 drugs that have been approved. The government paid for the research and the development of those drugs. At least $1.5 billion to Moderna, to Johnson & Johnson. Pfizer did not accept any federal dollars to do that work, but we guaranteed a market for each drug, and now we're seeing the benefits of that. We also put money into the pockets of the American people. Very importantly, this legislation is not top down, it's bottom up. And I think that that's very important. We provide the resources so that schools can reopen safely. We protect our heroes locally, all of our first responders, mental health workers, our hospital workers, our social workers. You and local government are the ones that hire them. You have expended significant dollars out of your reserves to help people in the community. And so we fought very hard for cities, for counties, for states, because we see and appreciate the role that you play in terms of essential workers. The new law provides $20 billion for the vaccination of the American people at no cost to any individual. The cash transfers are a very large part of this bill, $1,400 cash to individuals. If it's a married couple, $1,400 each, $1,400 for dependents. Now, why are we doing this? People have been hanging by threads. I don't have to remind any of the locally elected officials and Joe Simitian at the Board of Supervisors what's been taking place in the community. And they will spend this money. It will go right back into our local economy. We added federal unemployment insurance. That's on top of unemployment benefits that the state offers. The federal reimbursement or unemployment insurance is $300 a week. So that is another layer that is going to help build this financial economic bridge for people to be able to hold on as we make progress in crushing the virus. It also includes a one-year increase in the child tax credit. And the experts in that field tell us that that will cut child poverty in half in our country. I also did a bill that exempts the taxation of unemployment benefits for those who collected unemployment last year. The last thing people need to do is to get a bill saying you owe X number of dollars. So I'm really pleased that that was added to this legislation. And then to the cities and to local government, Los Altos will receive an estimated $5,641,502. Los Altos Hills will receive $1,585,445. And Joe, Santa Clara County, the county of Santa Clara will receive $373 million. It's almost $374 million. State of California, over $26 billion. You know that all too often when the federal government sends money to the states take the cream off the top, and then the cities and the counties are left wondering what the crumbs are. So we did this very differently. As I said, it's bottom up. The bill also includes significant funding to help the K through 12 school districts reopen safely. The Los Altos School District will receive an estimated $740,000. Mountain View, Los Altos High School District, $1,045,000, and Foothill College. This is just what's within my congressional district. They will receive an estimated almost $11 million to provide direct support to students and to a safe reopening. So all of this funding that I just described to you is coming directly into our area to reopen and to help rebuild our economy. So yes, has it been challenging? I don't think there's a word to describe it, but we are a resilient people. And what has been a great source of inspiration to me is what the cities have done, what people in the community have done, from high school students developing apps to help senior citizens, to the outreach that the nonprofit community has done. That's all been a great source of inspiration to me. People reaching out to help one another. So I can honestly say that help is on the way. I'm so proud to have worked on this legislation, helped to shape it, vote to pass it, and have the president sign it into law. So I'll stop with that, and all my thanks to you for the work that you have done. The chamber, the mayors, the council members, the school board trustees. I think that we have a great deal to be proud of in our communities right here at home.
We definitely do. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Eshoo. I want to thank you as well for being such a trailblazer for women in government and setting such an excellent example in leadership roles. We truly appreciate you. So very honored to have you here with us this morning.
Thank you.
And with that, our next speaker is California State Senator Josh Becker. Josh Becker of District 13 is a public policy innovator with decades of experience in community activism, social justice, and technology. After earning a JD MBA at Stanford, he went on to help start, invest in, and advise many small businesses and startup companies. He's also served as CEO of Lex Machina and on the California State Workforce Development Board. Please join me in welcoming our Senator Josh Becker.
Thank you. Thank you to Kim and the Chamber, and thank you to all my colleagues here as well. I always love hearing from Congresswoman Eshoo, and I especially love hearing from Congresswoman Eshoo when she's talking about the millions and millions and millions of dollars that our state and region and schools are going to be getting from the federal stimulus. So thank you for that optimistic, hopeful message. As you say, it's been such a hard year in so many ways. But we truly do have the light at the end of the tunnel now. And this federal stimulus, combined with our efforts that we've been working on at the state level, with stimulus around direct payments as well, and helping small businesses, helping childcare providers, helping schools as well with the $6.6 billion package that we passed. I think combined, those federal efforts, combined with the state efforts, combined with everything happening at the local level, is going to get us through these next 3 to 6 months, towards till the end of this pandemic. So just really excited to be here. I'll keep my remarks short. I'm very excited to hear from our two mayors, both good friends, and really excited to hear their state of the cities and their visions for Neysa Fligor and Kavita Tankha. Looking forward to that. My priority really, first and foremost, has been pandemic response. We talked about some of the measures we've done at the state level, and then more locally, working with all of you, making sure our teachers get vaccinated, making sure that we have vaccine equity and that we have disadvantaged populations, lower income populations throughout our two counties here in Santa Clara County and San Mateo County, that they are getting access to the vaccine, and that we're getting kids back to school. I want to commend the Mountain View Los Altos school district. I've been working with parents there. I want to commend the parents and the teachers for coming together. The high schools will be back 4 days a week. Cannot say that for my own high school yet, so that's a great accomplishment, and really kudos to everybody in the community coming together and to work together to make that happen. That's tremendous. I think it's just a huge priority now. We have to have a successful return to spring classes for students, make everyone feel comfortable. I would say, and I'm sure Congressman Eshoo can appreciate this, and something in Berman, I don't necessarily want to go up to Sacramento and, expose, ourselves to the virus, but you're there, you see the safety precautions in place, you see the masking, you see the barriers, you see the testing, and then eventually you feel comfortable. So I'm hoping that our teachers come back, feel comfortable here in the spring, that we do whatever we can for them, whether it be ventilation, whether it be other safety equipment, whether it be PPE, and that we can all safely return back to school. So that's really been the number one priority. And then we have a whole bunch of bills I'm working on, and I'll have a chance probably to talk to you more later as we go along. I'll just highlight a couple efforts that I'm working on, and working with Assemblymember Berman on these as well. One is around community colleges, so helping our community colleges comes out of the San Mateo community colleges, but apply to all community colleges in our state, allowing them to be able to use more of the resources to offset more additional costs for students. And these are costs of books and other costs that students have, and moving to really more of a true free community college. We've seen that attendance is down. We really need to get those students back in so they can accomplish both the transfer mission and have the rapid reskilling that we need right now. It is still a crisis. Some of our community colleges do have reserves. We need to put those to use and get people back in the workforce and get more kids then on that mission. Working on a bill that will allow our smaller cities here to be able to team up to compete more effectively for SB1 funds. These are the highway funds, the gas tax funds that we all contribute now to, $3 or $4 billion. It's hard for our small cities to compete. This will allow them to compete together. And then, of course, bigger picture issues that have not gone away. Climate change. We've got a lot of really aggressive climate change bills that I'm really excited about, around 24/7 clean energy, especially getting to that winter peak. Make sure we have clean energy at all hours of the day, and low carbon cement. Concrete and cement are 8% of the world's global emissions. So if we can help solve that here in California, that will be really help us along the way there. So I just want to end and echo the Congresswoman's hopeful note. It's been amazing to see this community come together and to see everyone support each other, and the tremendous outpouring of philanthropic resources in the region to help individuals, to help small businesses. Just saved Yucca, this big community center, this youth community center in East Palo Alto. People came together. They were going to get evicted from their building. It's just tremendous to really see this come together throughout the whole region. And I'm just grateful now that we've got the opportunity with these vaccines and with the stimulus money coming from the federal government and the other programs to get us through this. So looking forward to hearing the state of the cities, and thank you for having me here today. Kim, you're on mute now.
Thank you, Senator Becker. I would now like to ask one of our sponsors to introduce our next speaker. Rashad Wiley from Star One Credit Union was our 2019 New Member of the Year, is chair of the membership working group, and the newest member of our Chamber Board of Directors. Please welcome Rashad Wiley.
Thank you, Kim, for that wonderful introduction. Star One Credit Union is a proud member of the Los Altos Chamber of Commerce. We're also the sponsor of the city's event. And I just want to say that, we love Los Altos. So here's a pin right here, right? Star One Credit Union is a credit union headquartered right here in Silicon Valley. We have over 10 billion in assets and 113,000 members worldwide. And as an announcement, we will be opening up a branch in Los Altos in third quarter. There will be a 495 South San Antonio. So be on the lookout for that branch opening. We're very excited about that. At Star One, we value the chambers for demonstrating their key leadership and actually prioritizing and inclusion through action. I would now like to introduce California State Senator Assembly Marc Berman. I met Marc too at a couple of events. He's seen me before, but I don't know if he remembers me, but he's a good guy. Marc Berman was first elected to the California State Assembly in November 2016 to represent the 24th district, which includes Southern San Mateo County and Northern Santa Clara County in the heart of Silicon Valley, the Valley of Heart's Delight. In the Assembly, Marc served as the chair of the Committee on Elections and Redistricting, where he's become a leading voice in protecting voters from deceptive election practices, making election informant more accessible to voters, and improve election cybersecurity and campaign finance disclosure. Marc has had one of the highest rates of success in the legislative, having sent over 50 bills to the governor in his first 4 years in office. Wow, it's amazing. He has authored legislation related to a number of issues, including elections, the 2020 census, education, youth mental health, sexual assault, firearm safety, deep fakes, housing, and the environment. Marc previously served on the Palo Alto City Council, where he was a leader on issues such as infrastructure improvements and financial transparency. Please help me join Marc, Assemblymember Marc Berman. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rashad. And I do remember you, and I got to get one of those pins. I got to get that. That's fantastic. I love that. And thank you to Kim for the invitation to be here today. And I look forward to hearing from the mayors for the State of the City addresses soon. You know, I always enjoy attending the Los Altos and Los Altos Hills State of the Cities every year and getting to catch up with so many great community leaders in one room. Hopefully next year, we will once again be able to enjoy this event together over lunch in person. Although I don't miss trying to find parking at the Fremont Hills Country Club. I think one year I actually parked in Cupertino. But all joking aside, it's been a really painful, isolating, and scary year for us and our families and our communities. And while times have been tough, I've been so impressed with how we have come together as a community in a way that fills me with immense pride to represent these two cities. Over a year after the first Bay Area lockdown, the signs of hope and a return to normalcy grow every day. Santa Clara County is moving into the orange tier. Thank you, Supervisor Simitian. And this means that many businesses can start to increase capacity. In the words of Dr. Cody, this reflects the patience and persistence of the whole community in Santa Clara County. Vaccine supply is finally growing. After a too slow start, more than 16 million vaccines have been administered in California. We've built capacity to administer 3 million shots a week and hope to get to 4 million a week by the end of April. As we receive more supply from the feds, this increased capacity will allow us to quickly vaccinate everyone who wants to be, moving us one step closer to returning to normal. And just yesterday, Governor Newsom announced that on April 1st, the state will open vaccine eligibility to those over the age of 50. And then on April 15th, anyone over the age of 16 will be eligible to be vaccinated. As you all know, the vaccine rollout hasn't been without its frustrations. For example, the state's new equity formula shifts vaccines away from the Bay Area and towards Southern California and the Central Valley. And I've been working with Senator Becker and our other Bay Area legislators to encourage the governor to update the methodology to better capture the hard-hit communities in the Bay Area. I'm also really encouraged to see schools reopening for in-person instruction, as Senator Becker spoke to, and definitely want to thank all of the students, the parents, teachers, school board members, and administrators who've reached out to my office to give me feedback about how the state could better support reopening our schools. Earlier this month, the state allocated $6.6 billion towards to schools to help them open quickly and safely and to mitigate learning loss. Youth sports and extracurricular activities like marching band are open again. Some of my fondest memories from growing up were from high school sports and extracurriculars, so it's great to see these activities starting back up. And while these signs of opening up are exciting, the stress and isolation over this past year have impacted all of us, but especially our youth. I'm really concerned about the impact of the pandemic on our youth's mental health. This was a priority of mine long before the pandemic. I grew up in Palo Alto and know firsthand the stress of growing up in Silicon Valley. I also served on the Palo Alto City Council during a youth suicide cluster in the city in 2014-15, which was actually the second youth suicide cluster Palo Alto had struggled through in 5 years. It's so important that we provide high quality mental health services to our youth as they come back to school. This year, I'm partnering with the California School-Based Health Alliance and introduced a bill, AB 563, to establish the Office of School-Based Health in California to ensure greater access to healthcare services at schools, including mental health services, and draw down more federal funds for our school districts. We have to keep youth mental health at the forefront as we come out of the pandemic. While it's encouraging to see COVID rates going down and vaccination rates going up in Los Altos Hills, and across California. It's also important to keep in mind that the pandemic really just exacerbated many of the inequities and struggles that already existed in our community. The pandemic exacerbated the dramatic inequity that exists in our region. Communities with higher percentages of essential workers, workers who fed us, cared for us, kept us safe during the pandemic, and couldn't do their job from behind a computer screen like many of us, faced far more severe COVID outbreaks due to the crowded living conditions and an inability to isolate and quarantine in their homes. These same communities also struggled with unreliable internet and lack of access to digital devices, which only worsened the achievement gap that already existed between students in poorer communities and their wealthier peers. The result highlighted more than ever that there are two Silicon Valleys. It also reinforced the desperate need for all of our communities to step up to address the housing affordability crisis that so many of our friends and neighbors are suffering under every day. As the pandemic heightened our region's basic needs crisis, our food banks, schools, and nonprofits have worked tirelessly to ramp up food and other basic needs services. And we're so lucky to have amazing organizations like Second Harvest of Silicon Valley, Community Services Agency, Los Altos Community Foundation, and all of the donors and volunteers who support these organizations to help out our neighbors during times of need. And I just want to say thank you so much to these organizations for the work that you've been doing over the past year. Another victim of the pandemic has been the early childhood education sector. As more childcare sites close, we lose a critical service that was already in short supply before the pandemic. To make matters worse, women are bearing the brunt of the childcare crisis, as shown by the numbers of women dropping out of the workforce to care for children. To try to encourage more people to enter the early childhood education workforce, I introduced AB 1073 to establish the early childhood education workforce waiver to provide a fee waiver for specified child development courses for community college students with declared majors related to early childhood education and child development. This bill would remove financial barriers and provide an incentive for Californians to enter the early childhood education workforce with the goal of increasing access to high quality early childhood education for California's children. The bill was actually brought to me early in 2020 by a local group, the Community Equity Collaborative. And now, in light of the toll the pandemic has taken on our ECE workforce and infrastructure, it's more important than ever. As we transitioned online, it became clear that this was an unprecedented moment for innovation. It was also an opportunity to reevaluate the way we've always done things and look for opportunities to do things better. As chair of the Assembly Elections Committee, the pandemic forced us to quickly reform how we operate our elections in a presidential year. I was proud to author AB 860 last year, which ensured that every active registered voter in California received your ballot in the mail, and that every county provided the Where's My Ballot tracking service so you could follow your ballot through the mail to make sure it was received and counted by elections officials. Because of the very quick changes we made to expand voter access, California's election administration was a huge success with the highest turnout we've had in 70 years. This year, I've introduced AB 37 to make permanent many of the changes that we implemented just for the 2020 election. And lastly, another government service that I think is ripe for reform is the governance structure of VTA, the Valley Transit Authority. I recently introduced AB 1091 with the hope of accomplishing just that. As I'm sure some of you know, 3 civil grand jury reports over the last 17 years have concluded that VTA's governance structure is a root cause of the agency's poor performance. Taxpayers, transit riders, and VTA staff deserve a board of directors that have the interest and ability to dedicate the time necessary to provide appropriate oversight and meet our region's complex transportation needs. AB 1091 would reduce the size of the board, replace the board with appointed members of the public instead of currently serving elected officials, and reorient the board structure towards a less parochial and more regional focus. This bill will definitely be an uphill battle, as governance reform always is. Please reach out to my office if you have any questions about it or want to get involved in this effort. You might have also seen an op-ed in this morning's Mercury News by 3 former VTA board members who strongly support my bill. To wrap up, as we look forward, there are many challenges: wildfires, drought, climate change, racism in our community, gun violence, criminal justice reform, expanding broadband access, and so much more. But I know that if we all work together, we can accomplish great things. In my 5 years as an assembly member, I've never been more proud of my district for your resiliency and your compassion. Get vaccinated when you can, look out for your neighbors, take care of yourself, and I can't wait to have lunch with you in person next year. Thanks.
Thank you so much for the work that you do, Assemblymember Berman. I would now like to ask Dennis Young from Young, Craig and Company to introduce our next speaker. Dennis is not only a Walter Singer Award winner, past chair of the Chamber Board of Directors, and current executive board member, he is our own beloved financial guru and co-owner of the Los Altos Town Crier. Dennis, thank you for all that you do for the Chamber. Please help me welcome Dennis Young.
Thank you, Kim. Young, Craig and Company is very happy to support the Chamber of Commerce in this event. 2020 has been an incredible, difficult year for our small businesses. As a CPA firm, we see that every day as we help our clients navigate and survive this pandemic. We value and thank the Chamber for the leadership role they have taken in our community during this time in putting on these events and many events to support our local businesses. I also want to give a shout out to my colleagues at the Los Altos Town Crier. As Kim mentioned, I'm also the co-publisher of the Town Crier, and I want to personally, publicly thank all of the members of the Town Crier family for all the hard work, extra work they have done during this pandemic to continue to publish every single week. But I want to put in a plug. We need your help. We need your advertising. We need your support. So please put the Town Crier in your budget. Now, for what I'm really supposed to be here for. I want to introduce my longtime friend and the supporter of everyone attending this event. I've known Joe for many years, and I don't think of him as a politician. He is an advocate for all of the citizens of North Santa Clara County. Joe has a long career in public service. He currently is our county supervisor for the 5th District of Santa Clara County. His district includes Los Altos Hills, Palo Alto, Mountain View, Cupertino, Stanford, Saratoga, and pieces of Sunnyvale and San Jose. He was elected to the Board of Supervisors in 2012 and re-elected in 2016 and 2020. Joe Simitian's public service over the years includes stints as a member of the California State Senate, the State Assembly, Mayor of Palo Alto, President of the Palo Alto School Board, and he also had an earlier term on the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors. He brings to this work a wide-ranging perspective and background, service at all levels of local government, hands-on experience in the private sector, as well as professional education and training, particularly applicable to his work in public service. He has a deep dedication to all of us, the citizens of North Santa Clara County. Please join me in welcoming our good friend and our advocate, County Supervisor Joe Simitian.
Well, thank you, Dennis. Really, really very kind of you. I do have to say that as I listen to that list, it sounds like a guy who can't hold a job. So I'm a little anxious about that. But and I also have to tease my friends at the chamber a little bit, because somebody had the notion that the way to celebrate our situation in these two great communities was to have speeches from 6 different elected officials. That must be a record. But really, what I want to do is just have a little bit of a conversation, if we can, today in this virtual way. My colleagues in government have already alluded to the challenges of this past year, and I think it's fair to say we saw both the best of ourselves and the worst of ourselves. And yes, there was some bad behavior. There were businesses that perhaps were pushing the boundaries in terms of price gouging. There were folks who never did quite seem to learn what a mask was for. But mostly, I just have to say, I have been so moved by the kindness and the determination and the resilience of not just individual community members, but really whole communities. Folks who volunteered or contributed generously to our local nonprofits who were challenged in ways we could not begin to imagine just a year ago. The commitment, and here again, a shout out to the Chamber, to the commitment to support our local merchants and restaurants and the folks that they employ. The businesses that kept folks on payroll even as their businesses came to a standstill in a way that was remarkable and generous. Or simply picking up the phone to chat with an isolated friend or neighbor and check in on them and make sure they were well. And for almost all of us, in some form or fashion, the willingness to just keep going during a tough year and keep doing the work that we have before us, even if it was from home with kids and cats and dogs and spouses and in-laws as part of the mix. It really was very heartening. And I just want to share with you all on a personal note that as my office and I have done our work in confronting the pandemic, we really have taken heart from the strength and resolve of the people that we represent. Having said that, I have to say, and it's hard for me to say it, I think all is not well. And if you flip through this week's town crier, here's what you'll find. You'll find a story about the recall and reported harassment of a local school board member. You'll find another story about a Persian American woman who felt she experienced racism in the way she was treated at a local restaurant. You'll see a front page story about a brewing civil war, in quotes, in Los Altos Hills, revolving around the town's management and governance. And yet another very painful story about the hate crimes directed against our Asian American and Pacific Islander friends and neighbors and colleagues, which I think prompted me, and I hope prompts all of you, to ask what's happening here. In our prosperous communities full of so many good people, where we have so much to be thankful for, I think we've got to ask what's happening. And you know, as I think about this a little bit, I ask myself if the struggle of this past year has just got us all too tightly wrapped. Has the toxicity of our national political scene trickled down to affect our daily lives? I ask that we all sort of give pause and ask ourselves these questions, because as blessed as we are, all is not well. And the times we've lived through have, I think, taken a toll, and I worry that that will be a lasting toll. So I want to be very clear. I'm not raising these issues to pick sides or to suggest that anyone shouldn't raise their voice if they have a concern. Of course we should. And the question is how we do it. And what I want to do is exhort each and every one of us to do what we can to make sure that as we have the differences of opinion, as we interact with each other, as we come out of our homes, go back to what we used to call everyday life, that we think about how we can do that with the civility and the courtesy and the respect for one another that has always been the hallmark of these two communities. We will take a conscious effort on our part if we're going to get ourselves back to the place that we all remember so fondly and with great longing, I think, in many cases. It may seem like a statement of the obvious, but I do think it would be good as well to pause and say, we are all so privileged to call this place our home. I in particular, it's a privilege to represent you. It's a privilege to be with you today. And it's a privilege to call you my friends and neighbors. I've been privileged to represent Los Altos and the Hills for 25 years now as a county supervisor, state assembly member, state senator, and way back in the day, even portions of the Hills as a Palo Alto school board member. I want to say thank you because while I live in Palo Alto, you all have made your communities my second home. And I thank you for that, truly, because the community in which you have included me will continue to be a really blessed and extraordinary place if we redouble our efforts to make it so. So thank you, and be well, and let's roll up our sleeves and do the work. Take care.
Thank you, Supervisor Simitian. We will now begin our featured State of the City addresses by introducing each of our honorable mayors. I would like to introduce Mayor Neysa Fligor of Los Altos. Neysa Fligor is the current mayor of Los Altos. She was elected to the City Council in 2018 and served as vice mayor in 2019. Mayor Fligor has been an advocate for issues related to healthcare, housing, the environment, and holds leadership positions in several regional boards, including the Association of Bay Area Governments, Cities Association of Santa Clara County, Community Health Awareness Council, Silicon Valley Clean Energy, and the Peninsula Division of the League of California Cities. Prior to serving on City Council, Mayor Fligor served on the El Camino Healthcare District Board. She is raising her son and daughter with her husband here in Los Altos, and also a division legal counsel of Hewlett Packard. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Neysa Fligor.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction, Tracy. Good afternoon to everyone. Thanks for joining. It's great to see so many of you join us for our 2021 State of the City's address. It is my honor to deliver the State of the City as the mayor of Los Altos. First, let me thank the Los Altos Chamber of Commerce team for hosting this event and everything I know you do for our business community. Special thanks to Chamber President Kim Mosley. Los Altos is so fortunate to have such an innovative, creative, proactive, and smart Chamber President. Next, I want to acknowledge and recognize our elected partners for their steadfast support. Congresswoman Eshoo, Supervisor Simitian, State Senator Becker, Assemblymember Marc Berman. Thank you for being here. Thanks for all you do. Your words ring true. So thank you so much. I also want to acknowledge and thank my City Council colleagues who are with us today, Vice Mayor Enander and Council Members Meadows, Lee Eng, and Weinberg, and also our Interim City Manager, Brad Kilger, our Deputy City Manager, John Maginot, and our Chief of Police, Andy Galea. Thanks also to you for being here, and thanks to the entire city staff for all that they continue to do for our city. Now, what is the state of Los Altos? Los Altos is resilient. And we've heard a couple speakers mention this already about how resilient different communities have been this past year. And we all know what resilient means, but I still looked it up for today's address just to confirm that resilient was the right word to describe who we are and the state of Los Altos. Resilient means able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions. A resilient city is one that can absorb, recover, and prepare for future shocks. So when I look at what Los Altos has gone through, like many other cities this last year, COVID, the impacts of the nearby fires, staff changes, social challenges, and so much more, and where we are today, it is clear that Los Altos is indeed resilient. We are adaptable, pragmatic, and determined. In other words, we're fighters. We never give up. Los Altos does not shy away from a challenge. Instead, we seek a solution. So let's start with our response to the COVID emergency orders issued starting in March 2020. The city quickly worked to launch helplines for our residents, partnered with CSA to serve our community, and hosted virtual town halls to keep our community informed. We also supported our staff in different ways, including flexible telework schedules and virtual get-togethers. We made donations to our social service network groups so that they could continue to provide the needed services to our residents. We also continued to do the city's business. We approved an off-leash dog hours pilot program, adopted REACH codes, kept our community center construction project moving, launched a recruitment process for a new city manager, approved safer routes projects, and ensured that we continued to be fiscally responsible by approving 20% of our operating expenditures as operating reserves. And this we did just in the last 6 months. Even with all the changes and challenges, we made it a priority to support our business community. This included allowing outdoor dining, providing funds to support our business community, and deferring the business license fee. Thanks to Supervisor Simitian for your great work on capping the food delivery fees. And Los Altos, as Supervisor Simitian mentioned, was not immune to the social unrest that swept our country last year. When our residents showed up to our meetings to raise their voices and demand change, we responded. We held a policing town hall, created a task force, and approved task force recommendations, including improving our police complaint process. The city also adopted resolutions denouncing violence against our AAPI community and reaffirming the city's commitment to a diverse and inclusive community. And last but certainly not least, we made keeping our community healthy a priority. We hosted COVID testing sites, recruited COVID ambassadors to help us get the word out to residents, increased our messaging around COVID safety, and as of last week, approximately 90% of our residents 65 years and older have received their first dose of the vaccine. As we look to the future, we have already adopted our 8 goals for 2021. Housing, land use, fiscal sustainability, community safety, asset management, environmental sustainability, community engagement, and transitioning through all these different changes. We know these are all big goals, but we are determined to take specific steps this year to advance each of these goals. And with the good news of funds for our city as part of the American Rescue Plan, thank you, Congresswoman Eshoo, and the expected surge in the vaccine supply for our state, we are optimistic about 2021. But we know there will still be challenges. Some we may not know today, and there's some we already know. Updating our housing element, figuring out how we will meet the new large RENA numbers, pushing for legislation that strikes the right balance of increasing our housing supply, especially affordable housing, while recognizing that each city is different. And let's not forget, COVID will still be with us in 2021. So we need to remain vigilant and encourage our residents to get tested and vaccinated when they're eligible. We need to ensure we have plans in place and funding to help our community transition and recover from COVID, including supporting those who lost loved ones and our families, as we still don't know the real impact on our kids' mental health. And thanks to both State Senator Becker and Assemblymember Berman for their advocacy around mental health, teacher vaccinations, and getting our kids back to in-person school. The city will need to make sure that we support all our residents. We're all in this together. And that we put measures in place today so that we're better prepared for what may happen tomorrow. But I am confident that Los Altos will be ready. As we've shown time and time again, whether it's the red tier, the purple tier, orange tier, yes, we call that COVID color whiplash. Los Altos will be able to absorb, recover, and prepare for the future because we are resilient. Thank you so much. Be well.
Thank you, Mayor Fligor. I would now like to introduce Kavita Tankha, Mayor of Los Altos Hills. Kavita Tankha currently serves as the Mayor of Los Altos Hills. Prior to serving on the Los Altos Hills City Council, she spent 6 years on the Los Altos Hills Planning Commission. She has a bachelor's in art, a bachelor's in law degree from Delhi University, and a master's of law from Northwestern University School of Law in Chicago. For 15 years, she worked as an attorney at large in multinational law firms around the world like Skadden Arps and Baker McKenzie, doing banking and structured finance work. She lived and worked in New Delhi, New York, Zurich, London, and Toronto before moving to the Bay Area. She now serves on boards of several nonprofits and is committed to philanthropy and community engagement with a special focus on empowering women and girls. She is committed to social, political, economic equity of all genders with an emphasis on women's health and reproductive rights. In 2014, she was named Silicon Valley's Woman of Influence of 2014 by the Silicon Valley Business Journal. She now lives in Los Altos Hills and champions the various causes of the community she serves. Mayor Tankha.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Kim. And thank you to the Chamber for bringing us all together today. As I sit here and watch all our elected officials speak, I realize how fortunate we are to have all of them here today. In times like this, we realize that leadership matters. And we've seen the things from hearing people speak, from Congresswoman Anna Eshoo, Supervisor Joe Simitian, State Senator Josh Becker, Assemblymember Marc Berman, and Neysa Fligor from Los Altos. Leadership has mattered, and we are doing the things that we need to do to get through this pandemic. In terms of our town, I think for us here in Los Altos Hills, this year marks the 65th year of our founding. It was 65 years ago that a group of residents in our town got together and decided to preserve the rural look and feel of our town for a future generation of residents. And all of us today are the beneficiaries of that effort. Who would have thought that 65 years later, our country and the world would be grappling with this pandemic, which would bring us to our knees and also keep us home for more than a year. It's interesting that, in spite of all of that, we are stronger today. And this state of the cities is really a testament to that. Single and alone, separate in our own homes, we've still found a way to connect. And we've done that by making our community stronger and really supporting each other. So given that this is the 65th anniversary of our town, we decided to plant 65 packets of poppy seeds in our native garden at Town Hall. And our hope is that every spring, as these poppies bloom, they will not only give us joy, but really remind us of our shared commitment to our town and the values that we really hold true for ourselves. Given that so much has not been right about this year, I'd like to start with some positive news. At the start of the pandemic, there was a little bit of concern about how COVID-19 would impact our finances. We are really proud to say that we have an incredible finance committee and that worked together with our town staff, and our finances remain strong. We're also fortunate to have a town staff that came into work every single day during the pandemic and kept the lights on. As a result, our planning and permitting departments were able to stay open this entire time, and our residents were able to get their permits, schedule inspections, and get their projects done on time, and which is a large part of what we do in this town. And in doing so, we saved our residents a lot of financial concerns. We recently updated our ADU ordinance and we had it conform to state laws. As a result, the production of our ADUs went up significantly. Interestingly, it went up from 4 ADUs in 2018 to 11 in 2019 and a big number of 24 in 2020. And we recognize on our part that the production of ADUs is critical for us to meet our housing rate needs and our arena numbers. And we're really proud to report that after a concerted effort this year, we are totally and completely on track to meet our requirements in terms of our arena numbers. For the upcoming 2023 cycle, the arena numbers that we were allocated were very, very high, 544 units. We talked amongst ourselves. We lodged proceedings, we protested, and as a result of our engagement, numbers were brought down by 10%. And we will keep engaged during the spring and summer, and we should have a final determination in terms of arena numbers soon. On a brighter note, our pathways and open spaces saw incredible use. And it kind of reinforced the commitment of our founders and the people in this town who really believe in preserving our open spaces and recognizing that these truly add value to our town and to the environment. Our Westwind barn riding programs and Prisma Park were very, very popular this year and also saw a lot of use. And while many of our town events were actually canceled, our staff played a huge role in pushing out information about COVID, about wildfire protection, and about crime prevention. We organized shred events. We had an Independence Day caravan go through town. We had a virtual barn lighting event. We had greenways cleanup days, hop and hounds from home, and pathways run. So as you can imagine, we tried our best to really keep our residents engaged and have a meaningful quality of life right here in town. Recently, our town actually dodged a bullet when we averted the dissolution of our local fire district. Now we monitor all fire-related proceedings very, very carefully, whether they're at LAFCO or at the Board of Supervisors. One thing I want to reiterate is that in times like this, when we are under fire, it makes you realize how important leadership is. And Supervisor Simitian really proved to be a true friend to our town. He showed great leadership and he really supported us through this whole process. And we're so grateful for leaders like him in our community. And I can say the same thing about Congressman Eshoo, Josh Becker, Marc. They've always come together. They're always a phone call away where we can pick up the phone and speak to them and talk to them. We may not always agree on things, but we always have a very civil discourse and dialogue about the things that matter. And what is always obvious is that they have deep concerns about what matters to their residents. And I'm always grateful for the support that we have in our district. In terms of the 2020 fire season, fire came within 5 miles of our town. And that's when it really hit us that fire is the real threat to our town and to this area. And on our part, we really got out and really worked together with our staff to hold informal forums as well as forums with our town residents. We wanted to educate them about the risks of wildfire and how real they are to this community. We organized sessions. We're also looking at undergrounding our utilities, which will be a good first step in making us more secure. In terms of town safety, we've seen a recent uptick in burglaries. We recognize that this is something that is happening in all towns. It is a mark of our times when too many people are hurting and too many people have lost their jobs. But yet on our part, we want to make sure that we do our part in keeping our residents safe. We've had conversations about our sheriff around town safety, about policing, about gender profiling, about just making sure that we are the keepers of the safety of our residents. And we recognize them to be our biggest and probably the place where we can really truly have impact, keeping our residents safe and secure because we know they care deeply about it. We are looking at different ways. We are looking to start a neighborhood watch program where residents can alert each other about unusual activity, because we recognize that the Sheriff's Department can do their part, but we as residents also need to be stakeholders in our own safety and security, and that's important. We've seen people recognize that and put their hand up and ask to be leaders in these neighborhood watch programs, and we've seen them implemented really well and they're working. We're looking to add automatic license plate readers to see if they would work in the context of our town. We know our residents are keen to have them, and we are looking at different options. In terms of the goals for our town, we feel that wildfire risk is true and it is real, and it's time for us to really focus on that. We care deeply about maintaining control over our local fire district. We are watching the bills coming out of Sacramento, Senate Bill 9 and 10 very closely. While we want to be team players and understand that income inequality is the issue of our times, and the need to create more affordable housing and mid-level housing is a number one priority for this town, this country, and for this district. We also feel that one size fits all way does not necessarily work. And I think we would like to engage in a discussion to make sure that people recognize the individual differences that each town brings. And we hope to be team players in this effort, because we are committed to a regional solution to affordable and mid-level housing that is definitely lacking in this area. We are hoping to complete a town-wide survey to get a pulse on what our residents really want to see. I feel that local government is where we can have the most impact and see the change that we really want to see, and something that is not always possible at the national level. And we'd like to focus on that. We want to determine the cost of undergrounding our utilities, if that is a way that we can keep our town more secure. But above all else, we feel very strongly about the fact that we're really blessed to live in this town and this community and to call it our home, and we want to preserve it as much as possible. So with that, I will hand it over back to the chamber. Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate this opportunity to talk about our town.
Much, Mayor Tankha. We now have a video that we'd like to share with you that Oscar Garcia, our membership coordinator, put together.
say thank you to all of you. I feel like my membership with the Chamber of Commerce and how well Kim, you and your team coordinated with the city. I feel like, wow, I definitely felt the value of my membership with the Chamber of Commerce. I felt really safe. As a small business owner, I felt very well connected with the communication, timely communication.
Hi, my name is Kachik Jingarian, president of Smythe & Cross Fine Jewelry. We're so very proud to be members of the Los Altos Chamber of Commerce and truly applaud all of their efforts to do everything to support business here in Los Altos. The organization has developed some truly creative and innovative programs and services, including the Los Altos magazine, and even using social media to help businesses boost their traffic and sales. They've also done a tremendous job at supporting business in times of need and have been a voice for the business community. We really appreciate all their efforts and really urge businesses to join the Chamber and enjoy all the benefits membership has to offer. Thank you.
It's Timothy Farr. I'm the Director of Sales here at Dinah's Garden Hotel in Palo Alto. I want to say, really appreciate everything that the Los Altos Chamber does in the community and for its chamber members. I will say that it's probably the most active chamber that I've worked with in a very long time, and I've been doing this for about 20 years and working with a lot of different chambers. Kim, Oscar, and Nicole are great in what they do. Whether it's networking events, virtual networking events, whether it's trainings on how to use certain things like Canva, and Kim just being overall the ambassador for the chamber. They all do a great job working together and promoting our hotel and the chamber members.
The Chamber of Commerce was the first organization that I joined in Los Altos, other than the multiple listing service, which of course was part of my business. But Dennis Young was my sponsor way back in the late 80s. And it was there that I first met many of the people who have been my closest business partners and friends over the last 40 years. That started what became a chain. The chamber gave me access to information about business within the community, but also a chance to meet leaders who were concerned about the community and anxious to see it improve.
Abby Aarons, are you there, Abby?
I'm here. Hello, all. Oh my goodness, we need video. Host needs to stop. Okay. There we go. Hello, everybody. 2020 had a great start for us, believe it or not, and as a total surprise, as the owner of our downtown hotel, Ashante Boutique Hotel, and Campaign One Main, the restaurant, TripAdvisor, totally unbeknownst to us, named us as one of the top 20 hotels in the entire United States. A terrific honor for Los Altos and an amazing unsolicited award for us. So yes, I'm going to be one more supporter for the chamber. I'm sure all of you saw this. We not only won the award, but we had the privilege of starring in this absolutely stunning publication that was so professional, so amazing, and I hope it's coming back with more issues. I'll be a collector for sure. The chamber responded really quickly to everything, and being one of the feet on the street, some of the things I can share with you that perhaps are a little bit different. PPP loans. Kim got us all the information, places we could solicit them, up-to-date information, and then went from that to promoting Los Altos takeout delivery on social media and creating What's Open Los Altos with both Lava and the city. She created a platform that brought all the restaurant owners together for the first time ever. We're sharing our needs for equipment, for repairs, for help, and how we're going to get through the pandemic. Asking the city and the Community Foundation to support and provide over $325,000 in grants. I mean, so many of our Los Altos businesses, it was a small amount, but it made a real difference. Building consensus for open streets. Wow, that was a tough one. I mean, Kim really took that one on. Between retail and restaurants, two very diverse businesses downtown, trying both to survive and deal with the age-old, oh, Los Altos doesn't have enough parking. We can go to a mall and walk miles, but in Los Altos, we have to park right in front. I think there were a lot of things that were done by the chamber to promote racial diversity, a lot of education, discussion, and action. Koch had mentioned some of the classes to enhance business for us. I think one of the things that the restaurants really owe Kim and her crew an enormous thank you for was holding DoorDash accountable to the County Board of Supervisors for overcharging restaurants. People had no idea that when they ordered, there was no profit for the restaurant. The profit went to DoorDash and other companies like that. As a matter of fact, some of you may not know that the chamber received a Service Medal of Honor. Thank you, Joe Simitian. You can stay on your pedestal. Oh, he and I have had a few on and off that pedestal through the years. I hope you added a few dollars like I did when I signed up for my daughter and I, who run a real estate office here in town. You know, with the strain all of us have had on business, the chamber, who's been there in every which way, has really needed just a few nickels. So I hope you'll make a donation. There's a link in the chat box. You can always go on the chamber website. And because I never warned Kim, here's the latest thing from Ashante. Friends don't let friends stay at chain hotels. Ashante, everyone.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you for your support of the chamber in these difficult times and always. I'm so grateful to all of our speakers for taking the time to be with us today. On behalf of the Chamber Board of Directors, I want to thank each of you for joining us for the State of the City's luncheon. Especially a thank you to Kim, Nicole, and Oscar for putting this together this year. This is one of my favorite events in the city, and I was really looking forward to it, and it went beyond all my expectations. So Kim, Nicole, and Oscar, thank you so much. Also, thank you to our sponsors, Star One Credit Union, Young Craig and Company, El Camino Health, and Ico Hill of Ops Systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. I just like to take the opportunity to note that we recently established the Chamber Foundation, which is a 501c3 arm of the Chamber of Commerce. So you can now make tax deductible donations of any amount to support our efforts in the community. And thank you, Tracy, as a two-time board chair extraordinaire. We thank you for emceeing our event. Thank you to each of our honored guests. I'm thrilled to have had all six of you together here today. It's such an honor. Special thank you to Congresswoman Eshoo, Senator Josh Becker, Assemblymember Marc Berman, Supervisor Joe Simitian, and thank you to Mayor Fligor, Mayor Tankha for making this such an incredible event. I genuinely appreciate the support that you've given to the Los Altos Chamber of Commerce. Please go out and enjoy the beautiful weather this weekend, wear your masks, and safely support our local businesses. Thank you so much.